is somewhat related, but it's talking about our devices and all of those sort of things.
One of the conversation angle on from a social point of view, and they are tools and then they are agents which are AI companions.
Yeah.
So people are interacting with AI companions as human form.
Yeah.
And young people and I was again that rabbit hole of AI companions. I went down that rabbit hole and watched a few documentaries and a few interviews of people who have used AI companions. The two part of the extreme ends. One end is then people who are interacting with the companion. For a young person with some intellectual disabilities interacting, this person is already socially isolated.
Yeah.
And then interacts with this person and with AI companion and wants to be in relationship with this AI companion and want to get married. Because those companions are all affirming all the time, available all the time, and no human relationships are all affirming all the time, happy and positive all the time, and available all the time. So, and that takes away the opportunity for that young person to have a meaningful relationship, beyond, and then further isolates that person. But on the flip side is if there's an elderly person in the aged care system who are already isolated, and they might use this tool in a positive fashion, that just somebody interactive in their own language, in their own accent.
Yeah.
So there are social issues to be worried about as well.
Yeah, and I've heard a little bit about some of these issues. I think it's actually it's a dangerous road to go down. I was actually listening to something last night, and it was talking about, this is somewhat related, but it's talking about our devices and all of those sort of things. The question was about things like dopamine and serotonin and those sorts of things. And one of the things about our devices is that we get on this device and this just feeds us dopamine kick, and it's a bit like a little drug addiction. But and the question was asked about relationships, as in why men and women, young men and women, are struggling to actually have these relationships, and they're struggling to actually bond emotionally, and this ability to fall in love is actually almost impossible for them because they're so resistant to dopamine. That part of when a couple meet and they're attracted, there's this dopamine. A big part of that they're saying is a big dopamine hit, and over time in relationships that sort of gradually shifts and it becomes more serotonin based, and you settle into the relationship. And if it's I've been married 33 years. My relationship with my wife is probably more serotonin based now. We're not at that point. We're certainly not at that point when we first met, and it was like the spark and all of those sort of things. But what they're saying now about these young couples as they meet is that they can't even get that spark because they've been fed this overstimulated system. So I think the danger of that, I guess the agent is of it, you go, okay, well, it's helpful for someone on a disability, but you either always know you're disconnected or you end up actually in a kind of a delusory state.